Out, 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 out! Get out of my apartment, Mr. PM. Just because I'm doing a Hugtto review doesn't mean it's going to involve childbirth. Hello.
So yeah, after a little distraction from one of the worst Precure films ever, let's cleanse our palates with one of the best products to come out of the franchise, mostly because Toei has little control over it, the Kamikita Futago's manga. Last time, we covered the first half of the Hugtto manga's second volume. We saw the team deal with Japan's insanely humid summer days.
Ugh, no wonder why Honolulu gets such a heavy influx of tourists during the summer months.
And participated in a crossover with the OG team that was actually good and made both teams look strong by the end. What a novel concept. And while their take on the Hugtto team has been almost nothing but slice-of-life adventures aside from the occasional android disfigurement, I do think the Kamikitas have addressed the themes and characters much better than the source material. None of their stories felt overly sappy or forced, and yet still deliver strong emotions thanks mostly to their great artwork. Seriously, the twins know how to draw some great facial expressions.
With that in mind, let's see how they wrap up a series without the need of turning everyone into a Precure. Seriously, I'm never going to get over how weird that was.
We open up with Saya touching up a topless Ruru.
No, it's not going in the direction you think it is. Though I wouldn't put it past the Kamikitas.
Apparently, Ruru's processors weren't running at full capacity, and thus Saya offered to give her a little tune-up.
Actually taking advantage of the fact that Sai is a tech junkie and that Ruru is a technological marvel. Heck, they even have a full episode dedicated to them early into the series. Gee, it's almost as if something like this should have been in the anime as opposed to the misadventures of the father and daughter.
Of course, Emiru was being a worrywart about her robot friend just being opened up like an old desktop.
I mean, just as long as you don't implant her with an emotion chip or the like.
I have a magnetic personality.
Brent Spiner's laugh still haunts me every night.
Thankfully, Ruru remained mostly the same, just a little peppier thanks to some properly oiled up joints. Thus, she was able to enjoy a little picnic with her friends the next day. Hana and Emiru congratulated Saya on her good work, pointing out that she could become a doctor to the machines. Saya agreed to this notion, though not just because of her fascination with machines, but more so because she wanted to help others when she could.
Ratchet would be very proud of you, little lady.
However, a different kind of patient wandered into their little picnic. A clearly pregnant cat appeared, and for whatever reason, Hana was too dense to realize what was going on. I mean, yeah, like many a pink lead, she wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, but I don't think Hana would be this insensitive. Anyway, the feline collapsed in front of them, clearly going into labor. The team panicked and turned to Saya, who in turn turned to Google-sensei. But while it's very possible to look up what should be done in the case of a cat giving birth, they also didn't have the time to look up a bunch of different instructions off of a notebook likely running off of Saya's hotspot connection. With her Google foo having failed her, Saya was left in shock until a friendly doctor passed by. Yep, Dr. Maki made her debut in the Precure mangaverse, as even the characters didn't recognize her, confirming that the events of episode 27 hadn't and won't take place, as we'll soon see. Anyway, in spite of being a human doctor, she was still able to apply her skills as an obstetrician to the situation.
Which, I'm not completely sure if that could actually be a thing. I mean, my sister is a pediatrician, and she was once forced into helping her dog give birth because apparently the animal shelter didn't tell her that the thing was pregnant. Well, anyway, the puppy was safely born, but more so because of the mother and not because of the doctor.
Still, I guess I can easily overlook little details like that and just appreciate the story as Dr. Maki led Saya through helping the cat give birth. I am a little annoyed that again they have to make Hana look like an insensitive ninny just for the sake of comedy, but this shot of Saya is awesome, so it kinda balances out. In the end, the cat safely gave birth to 5 kittens, one of them I'm guessing takes after the bastard father. And they parted ways with Dr. Maki until the next day when of course they ran into her at the hospital. Saya thanked her for helping her through that little incident, and after seeing the dog's dedication to her craft, she of course was inspired to pursue the same occupation.
So yes, once again, Saya gives up on her dreams of becoming an actress and... Wait, did Saya ever once mention that she wanted to become an actress in the Mangaverse?
Yeah, I actually went back and looked over the entire first volume, and no, Saya never once brought up acting or even the fact that her mother was a famous actress. Which means this manga pretty much cut off the needless fat that was Saya's pursuit to follow in her mother's footsteps. I mean, credit where it's due, it wasn't a bad storyline initially, and just became convoluted when the doctor stuff was added in. One of the biggest problems with it was the fact that it was such a drastic shift in professions.
Here, though, it's more like tech junkie to medical doctor, which, yeah, that's a much more natural progression.
I mean, when you really stop and think about it, modern medicine is one of the professions that involves some of the most advanced tech in the world. On top of that, it could be argued that fixing sensitive motherboards and living organs share many similarities, as even kind of cleverly symbolized in this chapter with Saya repairing the android with cat ear shaped hair.
As much of a cliche as the Blue Cure becoming a doctor has become, at least this way, it's a lot more sensible and doesn't involve any overly schmaltzy moments.
Following this, we got the Mangaverse's take on the Christmas episode, with the Precure transporting a treat to the beauty Harry, and is that Saya with a freaking chainsaw in hand?
Okay, yeah, it's official. Manga Saya beats the patootie of anime Saya.
Anyway, as a part of the festivities, they were going to have a little gift exchange, basically a Secret Santa event. They put together a bunch of gifts, and come the night of the eve, oh good gravy, I love the Kamikita's fashion sense. Everyone looked great, though of course, Totodoro and Hugtto took top honors. They placed all of their gifts into a sack for later, and enjoyed their little party. Thankfully, of all the things from the anime, the Kamikitas decided to keep Ruru's big eater trait, as that is cute as all hell. Everything was going swimmingly, until something in the gift sack started to move.
Oh no, the bag got switched with one of Krampus's! Quick, we have to burn everything! Piece of junk.
Well, okay, it wasn't Krampus, but still a mischievous little fairy who had gotten into the gifts. Yup, after hearing that there were shiny things in the bag, the toddler literally wanted in on it, crushing all of the gifts in the process. While a little disappointed, the girls gracefully accepted the fact that they might have to cancel the gift exchange. However, Hana still had gifts for all of her friends, some nice, comforting hugs.
You know, as simple and cheesy as all of this is, I actually kind of like this scene.
Say what you want about Hugtto as a whole, I've certainly said my piece, but I will never discount some of the series' messages. Primarily, the idea that when all is said and done, sharing a friendly hug with someone is never wrong.
In this day and age, when we are becoming more and more impersonal, I don't think we should forget basic values like this. That's all I have to say. Am I stepping on something? Oh, so. I'll put that back later.
Of course, her teammates shared a great big group hug with her, and they spent the rest of their little party enjoying a nice white Christmas.
Again, a bit of an easygoing slice of life chapter, but hey, at least this one didn't have to involve the fat man himself.
After Christmas, of course, comes New Year's, which we don't see much of the celebrations for, as everyone was busy with their own things. Still, Hana, of course, wanted to do her part for her friends and cheer them on. Unfortunately, in doing so, she ended up ignoring a little cough she had developed, which soon turned into a full-on cold.
Yeah, that's what happens when you sleep on the couch one too many times. I mean, it's a nice place to take a nap and everything, but you really shouldn't sleep on it at night, or else you catch a cold, and can you tell I have personal experience with this sort of stuff.
While the cold was certainly unpleasant, Hana was more frustrated than anything over the fact that she couldn't cheer her friends on. To help her feel a little better, her mom brought her some rice porridge, though Hana wasn't all that hungry. Her mom's solution? Turn it into a race.
Ooh, that looks like fun. Let me join in. Race it, go! Ah! So, continuing?
Apparently, Hana's real superpower was having a tongue of steel, as she was able to eat both the porridge and the miso soup in just a few gulps. Granted, she was sweating like crazy afterwards, but perspiration is good for a cold, so mission accomplished, I guess. More importantly, it reminded Hana of how her mother did this to get her to eat her veggies back in the day in a cute and really touching little scene.
You know, I don't think I could have picked a better manga to review at this exact point in my life. I'll explain why at the end.
For now, Hana could only dream about her friends doing their best without her. The dreams became so lucid that at one point she thought that her future daughter was calling out to her. Nah, of course, it actually was Hugtto, along with the rest of her friends, coming to pay her a visit. Hana asked how they all did the previous day, and of course, they all did great. Though on a side note, I do have to question, how were they able to print an article about Emir and Ruru having a successful concert within just one day?
I guess print media isn't completely dead just yet.
There's no ads, no sponsored content, no links to click on.
Harry told Hana that they were able to accomplish all of their goals thanks to Hana's cheers. She didn't believe him because, well, she was in bed all day, but her friends assured her that she was with them in their hearts, or to be more precise, through her cheers before she got sick, giving them the encouragement they needed. Come on guys, let's not get that sappy. Still, I do like that while they acknowledged how much Hana's cheers helped them, they also wanted her to take better care of herself. Otherwise, who would they be able to send their cheers to? The chapter closed with Hana sending more of her hoorays towards the bright future ahead of all of us.
Now, if that sounded like the ending to a manga series, it's only because it was. But just like with the Precure manga, the Kamikitas have provided us with an extra long bonus chapter for the Tankobon release.
We open up again with Hana admiring her friends and their achievements, more so because it was spring break and all three of them were entering their final year of middle school. To close out their vacation, they of course did the most Japanese anime thing possible and sat around the cherry blossoms. It was such a nice scene that it even got Harry to bust out a surprisingly deep quote from a Japanese philosopher, Mushano Koji, who was a serious humanist who basically believed we controlled our own destinies through our sheer willpower. A good quote, especially when applying it to the Precure.
Again, I would pay good money to see the Kamikitas get a full-on anime series of their own.
Anyway, another reason they were having their little picnic was also because the future characters would soon be departing. Yeah, while the Precure mangaverse is clearly doing its own thing, it also does utilize at least a few elements from the main show. In this case, Kranosu likely had been defeated, and Dr. Tron was putting the finishing touches on his time machine. Still, rather than just having a blink and you'll miss it fight guest starring Hikaru, the Kamikitas opted for a much more touching send-off. While again stuffing her face, Ruru asked Hana what her future aspirations were, and she gave the usual answer of becoming a cool big sister type and all that. Her friends rightfully asked why she was so obsessed with that goal, in particular, what sort of event set her down that path in the first place. Hana couldn't recall, and you can kind of guess where this is going. For now though, her friends did give her some good advice and encouragement, including some from this little toddler, who when asked who she thought was the coolest adult in her life, she of course answered with her mama, aka Hana. And when Hana didn't take her future daughter's words too seriously, Hugtto used her powers to put her future mother through probably what's gonna be one of the most horrific events in her entire life.
Well, I see someone's a proud graduate of the Kyubei School of Ferrying.
Hana suddenly found herself in her old room, the one before she transferred schools, and looking in the mirror, she didn't have her emo haircut yet, as she was now in her 11-year-old body. Yup, the OP baby sent them, plus Harry, back 3 years into the past. Hana of course tried to get her to send them back, but Hugtto gave her the good old kotowaru. All of this panicking ended up attracting the attention of her mother, Sumie. Thankfully, to prevent any serious damage to the space-time continuum, Hugtto made it so that she and Harry were invisible to her future grandmother. Speaking of whom, she was already starting to look like a grandparent as pointed out by her daughter. Apparently, she had tried to pull an all-nighter to finish up an article and ended up falling asleep in her dirty clothes and not even taking a bath.
In other words, my Saturday nights! You think it's easy making those weekly reviews in a timely fashion?
Anyway, after convincing her to go back to bed, Hana and Harry began brainstorming their next course of action. And thankfully, the hamster was on his A-game when it came to these sort of time travel shenanigans, and theorized that they just needed to find some kind of special object to trigger their leap back to the present. For starters, they tried looking for some clues through some old albums, and good gravy, was there ever a time when Mr. Nono wasn't super jacked? Anyway, they did find something. Some old shoulder massage tickets that Hana had made for her mother back in the 3rd grade. Hana was surprised her mother actually kept them, but more importantly, they seemed to trigger something. And thus, the three managed to travel back 3 years into the past.
Oh well, that's a bit of a shame, and wait. Looking at certain objects triggers leaps back in time? Oh no. We've entered into the butterfly effect, haven't we? Hana, stop before we end up in the worst time!
Hey, sorry to bother you in the middle of your review, but your Wi-Fi seems to be down and... Oh. Well, that's a shame. Should we... what the hell?
Wait, what was I just saying?
You were just trying to remember your line.
I was?
Yeah, you were on, like, page 7, paragraph 4.
Oh, yeah, I guess I was. Well, thanks, man.
We don't need thanks for what we do.
Anyway, Hana found herself having subtracted another 3 candles from her birthday cake. Specifically, she had gone back to the exact point when she originally gave the massage tickets to her mother. Thinking back on them, Hana realized she never did let Sumire use them, which, yeah, even if it was from a small child, she probably did need those massages.
After all, from what we see in the anime, Sumire is a reporter, and real journalism is not an easy occupation, so I respect her. Yeah, most trusted anime news source, and totally not just a bunch of biased normies LARPing as hardcore otaku.
Regardless, they still needed to find the right ticket home, so they headed out. While walking around the neighborhood, they ran into some pretty lady whom Hana seemed to remember admiring at a young age. Though when Harry asked about her, Hana didn't seem to know much about this lady. At best, she thought her name might have been Erika and... wait.
Erika? Nah, can't be. Can it?
Well, anyway, in spite of offering to take her out for some ice cream, what did you tell your mother earlier, Hana? Miss Erika, yeah, let's go with that, had other business to attend to. As an apology, she gave the little girl some nail polish because, yeah, that's a totally sensible thing to give an 8-year-old. Still, at least it served a narrative purpose as it triggered yet another time leap back another 3 years.
Jeez, where's Doc Brown when you need him? Probably going off to make another awful reboot to a classic.
Anyway, at least with this time leap, we got some adorable Kotori who actually acted like a real sibling would and tattled on the elder. Also, Hana wasn't holding the same nail polish that Erika had given her, but rather some that she had bought with her own allowance in the hopes of paying her mother's nails. Of course, Sumire told her that while she appreciated the thought, she wanted her daughter to use her money for what she wanted. Though what Hana wanted was a mother who wouldn't go to parent-teacher conferences in dirty clothes and messy hair.
Which, yeah, okay, I know I just said that Sumire is a hard worker and everything, but, you know, putting on some clean clothes probably wouldn't hurt.
Saying this, Hana realized that perhaps the reason she wanted to become a professional-looking lady was because of her mother's slovenly ways. And I'll admit, I actually kind of like this selfish side to Hana.
I mean, as much as I legitimately liked Hana in the anime, I do have to kind of admit she was a tad bit too squeaky clean.
Not so much Mary Sue territory, but more so that she just kind of lacked in some emotional build in her arc, much like the rest of the series in general. Often, she would overcome traumas a little too quickly, all the while not really showing too many different faces other than the squeaky clean baby face. In this manga chapter, we've gotten to see more of her morally gray areas as a character. Yeah, she is being kinda selfish by trying to get her mother to clean herself up a little, but she's not being a brat about it, and did buy that nail polish with her own money, and she does bring up a good point about at least trying to look presentable in front of her teachers.
I mean, I live in Hawaii, one of the most casual states in all of the US of A, but I don't think I've ever seen my parents go to conferences in slippers.
With all that said, plus the fact that she's been forced into the body of her less functional 5-year-old self, it's also understandable that Hana would snap at this exact moment. And she declared that she didn't want to end up becoming a mother like Sumire, harsh words that the lady herself totally tanked.
Alright, even if she is a bit of a slob, points to her for knowing how to deal with kids.
Hana did double down what she said, but never said the H word.
Hugtto.
So good restraint there at least. But as some attempt at being rebellious, Hana went to exchange her spoon for a fork and knife. Personally, I wouldn't bother trying to eat an omelet rice with a fork, but no time to think about that as Hana had triggered yet another leap. And if you know your basic math, you can guess where this is going. Yup, Hana was back to being a 2-year-old.
I remind everyone, this was all started by the toddler with the reality warping powers. Yeah, Hana, might I suggest taking your kid to go see this guy, perhaps?
Oh, but things got worse, as after realizing that Harry and Hugtto weren't with her, and that her mental functions were likely shutting down in her little toddler brain, Hana began crying up a storm. And those tears triggered another time leap. And, well, considering 2 minus 3 equals -1, yeah.
You know what? Can we go back to the easygoing slice of life stuff? This is getting way too intense for me.
Hana began to accept her fate of entering into non-existence, and more than anything, regretted the final verbal words she shared with her mother. Though just as she thought that, she heard the voices of that same mother and her father. Yup, as it turned out, Hana was inside the womb, likely during Sumie's first trimester, as they seem to not even know Hana's gender yet. Sure enough, she heard the sheer amount of dedication Sumie was going to put into raising her child, triggering some memories in Hana. It's truly beautiful stuff, as we got to see all of the different stages of Hana's life with her mother up until the incident that forced her to transfer schools. And after one last declaration of love for her daughter, we got this splash page of, Hana being born?
What did I tell you earlier?
Thankfully, we were spared any further nightmare fuel, not as though we haven't got to a lifetime's worth already, and Hana found herself back at the picnic as though nothing had happened at all. So yeah, we were going with the old "it was all a dream" twist. Or was it, as Hugtto was drawing a picture similar to the one Hana drew in one of her memories and...
Yeah, you know what, I can forgive the cliche stuff, just as long as we close things out with some more touching moments.
Hana went home to give her thanks to her mother, as while she didn't exactly fit Hana's image of a cool older sister type, she did give her a name that would practically guarantee that she would become a flower that would be able to spread its bliss to all those around her.
I gotta hand it to the twins. They always know how to end their mangas with the biggest WTFs possible, but it's kind of because of that this was a great conclusion to the Hugtto manga.
Judging by their Twitter, the Kamikittas do seem like hardcore Precure fans, but going by the second volume, I think even they could see the flaws of Hugtto, and do dedicate much of this to be a low-key fic. In this book alone, they wrote a much better crossover with the OG team, a thankfully much more straightforward reason for why Sai would want to become a doctor that even incorporated her somewhat forgotten tech junkie characteristic. And even a better Christmas episode. Granted, those aren't high bars, but still, praise where it's due. Sure, there were fluffier chapters, but they weren't necessarily bad, and even incorporated little bits of characterization that match up with canon. More importantly, it tackled Hugto's main themes arguably better than the source material. While the anime, especially at the end, kind of came off like a Shinzo Abe propaganda piece, I did still like the strong themes about family it had throughout its run. Call me a bit of a Mr. T fundamentalist, but I do believe that the bonds between a parent and a child is more important than anything else, especially at this point in my life. The final chapter of this manga had Hana briefly forget this, understandable since she was under a lot of stress with the time travel nonsense that led straight into her unbirthing. However, having a solid grasp on who our true role models are is also an important aspect of growing up. Hana had some vague memories of that Erika lady, but as Harry pointed out, she practically knew nothing about her. No, what's really important is to love and respect those who have done likewise for you. It's a common moral that can be found in every iteration of Precure, and this one panel is one of the greatest examples of such. It's a lesson that we all need to start implementing a little more in this highly flawed modern era. When the time comes, I might even consider sharing this manga with my sister and her daughter, because a little hug can impart more than any amount of words ever could.
Thank you for watching, and next month is going to be October and thus Halloween, so I might make some more seasonal videos as opposed to going straight to new stage 2. I'll keep you guys posted on what I end up deciding on, and until then though, farewell for now my friends, and share some love with your mother once in a while.